Pongo Akira. A tale of the most unlikely best friends. The tall acacia tree. Deep in the heart of the golden savanna, where the grass rippled like a warm sea and the sky stretched on forever, there lived a little monkey named Bongo. Bongo had bright copper-brown fur, ears that stuck out like two large leaves, and a tail so long he sometimes tripped over it. He lived high up in a great acacia tree whose branches spread wide enough to be a whole world on their own. Every morning Bongo would wake at sunrise, do 3 somersaults along his favorite branch, and shout good morning to anyone who would listen. Most of the time, nobody did. You see, Bongo was a little lonely. The other monkeys thought he was too noisy. The zebras thought he was too bouncy. And the flamingos thought he was much too silly. I just want a friend who laughs at the same things I do. Bongo. The lonely cub. Not far away, beneath a shady thorn bush, lived a young lion cub named Kira. Kira had a soft, tawny coat, big amber eyes, and the tiniest little mane just beginning to grow around her ears. She was curious about everything, beetles, clouds, the way shadows moved, but the other lion cubs only wanted to practice their roars and wrestle in the mud. Kira liked wrestling well enough, but she also liked sitting quietly and watching butterflies dance. That, the other cubs said, was not very lion-like. Why can't I be a lion and like butterflies? Kira. So Kira would wander off on her own, padding softly through the tall grass, wondering if there was anyone in the whole wide savanna who understood her. The day the mango fell. One hot afternoon, Bongo was doing what he loved most, juggling mangoes at the very top of the acacia tree. He could juggle 2. He could juggle 3. He was trying for 4 when whoops. One mango flew off to the left, one sailed off to the right, one landed splat on Bongo's head, and the 4th dropped straight down from the tree. Bonk. Landed right on Kira's nose. Kira looked up, startled. Bongo looked down, horrified. There was a long, silent moment. Then Kira sniffed the mango. Then she licked it. Then she looked back up at Bongo with wide golden eyes. Did you throw this at me on purpose? Kira. No. I was juggling 4 and I'm so sorry, please don't eat me. Bongo. And that made Kira laugh. Not a roar, a real warm, rumbling laugh that rolled across the grass like thunder. Bongo stared. Then he burst out laughing too. So hard he slid right down the tree trunk and landed in a heap at Kira's paws. An unlikely afternoon. They sat together in the shade of the acacia tree all afternoon. Bongo showed Kira how to juggle. She was terrible at it, but she kept trying, which Bongo thought was the best thing ever. Kira showed Bongo how to stalk a butterfly without making a sound. He was terrible at it too. But they both ended up chasing the butterfly in dizzy circles until they collapsed in the grass, gasping and giggling. By the time the sun dipped low and turned the sky orange and pink, Bongo and Kira had shared 3 mangoes, invented a game involving a round pebble and a hollow log, and told each other every joke they knew. Even the ones that didn't quite make sense. When Kira finally stood to head back to her family, she paused and looked at Bongo very seriously. Same time tomorrow? Kira. Bongo's tail curled up with joy. I'll bring the mangoes. You bring the butterflies. Bongo. The storm. A few weeks later, the rains came suddenly. Thick black clouds rolled over the savanna without warning, and the wind howled like 100 animals all at once. Bongo had been playing far from his tree when the storm broke. Rain pelted down in sheets, and lightning lit up the sky. He ran and ran but couldn't find his way. In the dark and the noise, everything looked the same. He climbed a small shrub, shivering, and called out as loudly as he could, but the wind swallowed his voice whole. Then, through the roaring rain, came a sound he knew better than anything. A warm, steady rumble. Not thunder. A purr. Kira had been searching for him. She had followed his tracks through the mud, something only a lion's sharp nose could do in a storm like that. She found him crouched in the shrub, soaked to the skin, with leaves stuck in his fur. She said nothing. She simply sat down beside him, big and warm and steady, and let him press into her soft side. Together they waited out the storm, tucked close beneath the shrub while lightning cracked and rain roared all around them. When the storm finally passed and the stars came out, Bongo looked up at Kira and said very quietly, "You came to find me." Kira looked down and said simply, "Of course I did. That's what friends are for. Friends are what you make them." After that night, Nobody on the savannah could quite believe their eyes. A monkey and a lion, best friends? The zebras shook their heads. The flamingos tooted. Even the old elephant raised an eyebrow. But Bongo and Kira didn't mind one bit. Every day they met under the acacia tree. Bongo taught Kira to climb. She got halfway up on a good day. Kira taught Bongo how to be brave and walk calmly through the long grass. They explored the riverbank, invented new games, and spent whole evenings lying on their backs naming the shapes in the clouds. Slowly, something wonderful happened. The other animals began to watch them, and then to smile. And then a zebra foal asked a warthog to play. And then 2 flamingos let a tiny frog join their waiting game. It was as though Bongo and Kira had shown everyone that a friend can come from the most unexpected place. You know what's funny? I used to think I needed a friend just like me. But you're nothing like me, and you're the best friend I've ever had. Bongo. Maybe that's why it works so well. Kira. The end. And they lived and laughed, happily ever after. A little lesson. The best friends aren't always the ones who are just like you. Sometimes a friend who is completely different is the most wonderful friend of all, because they show you a whole new way of seeing the world.